Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Redneck Wood Shop in Vale, North Carolina. It's good to see all of you. Hope you're doing well. Tonight, and it is nighttime, it's dark, we are actually doing woodwork. Can you believe it? Not a camper, not electrical work, not farming, not petting dogs by the campfire, not even fishing. Woodwork. We're actually building something here in the Redneck Wood Shop. What I'm doing tonight is I am working on a red oak slab table, okay, for my daughter's wedding. And I really should have started filming this earlier in the process, I guess, but it's not been an extended process. This is a reasonably rustic table, and I'm coming down to the wire on the time that I have. So I'm going to spin you around and just show you the table as it sits right now, explain a little bit to you about what I've done, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll take something from it. All right, here we go. All right, here she is. What are we looking at? It's a 7 foot long. It averages about 32 or 3 inches wide. At the widest, it's about 37. And at the most narrow, it's roughly 31 or 2 inches wide. It is 7 feet long. It was milled, set to be 2.5 inches thick. It was milled with a chainsaw mill, so that varies, and it's far from perfect, okay? But I actually bought this as a 16-foot slab. I have a 9-foot section of this slab left outside that is equal in width and thickness, that I hope and pray I can make a 9-foot or so table for us to put on our deck later after I get a roof on said deck, so it will be out of the weather once it's finished. But at any rate, I had hoped to be able to take this thing to the carpentry shop at work and put it on the CNC router and mill it down nice and flat, and maybe even engrave their route out their last name in a nice fancy script on their initial anyway in the middle of the table. But it was not to be. The router decided to go on the blink, and that router, it's a software issue. It's an older shop bot. It's a great router, but it's just, we got to get some service work done to her. So I have an electric hand planer, but I'm just not going to use it. I just don't trust it. It's a great planer, nothing wrong with it. It's a good quality planer. I am just not really good with it. And every time I really try and use it on anything other than a narrow piece of wood, I wind up cutting divots and everything else because I'm not mastered that thing. I may get it out on that end down there because that's mostly a knot. And great day, it's just jamming up my old Dunlap there. That old Dunlap is very old. It belonged to my wife's dad, who passed away 10 or 11 years ago at the age of 94. So, that's an older plane, and it's sharp as a razor. I've never sharpened it, but it's still sharp. It was very well taken care of by him, and I've never used it that much, but it's doing a great job, shaving off some of the rough stuff on here from the chainsaw mill, starting to look nice. Once I do that, I'll get the old belt sander out and apply varying degrees of sandpaper to it, and we will get her milled down as smooth as we can get her, and then we'll put some kind of a finish on it. It's reasonably level, even though the slab is not of equal thickness. I flipped it upside down on my floor, which is actually perfectly level. I flipped it upside down on my floor, and the legs, which are made, get over here, are made of 4x4 sawmill lumber. I bought rough sawn timbers at the sawmill. Same time I bought this slab, I left them in here and stood them up and let them dry till I got nice and dried. They're yellow pine. And then I took them to the big table saw at work and ripped the roughness off of them. They're about 3 3/4 inches now. Made myself a template for the length and width of the X brace, drew it out, and then cut my legs and put them together and attached them very solidly to the bottom of the table. Those are stained a dark walnut, and they've got one coat of polyacrylic on them. I may not add anything else. I like that more natural look, but the polyacrylic does help it. The table brace, but the leg brace, that nut will get painted, but notice it is a piece of 5/8 all thread rod left over from a transformer hanging job I had a while back. and just hung on to it. You never know, right, when you're going to need something like that. Turned out it was a great, it was just a great thing to use to tie the legs together to get them spaced apart and perpendicular to the tabletop, and make it really nice and rigid. And she is rigid. I'm very happy with that. I'll touch up I painted it black. I'll touch up the places that need to be touched up. I attached the legs. I flipped it up, the table over on its top. And of course it was a little out of level because it's out of thickness. And then I used my circle saw and some chisels and just did some hand work and got those legs level, foot to foot, and then firmly attached them to the table, and then flipped her over. And now the tabletop itself is almost perfectly level. It's out a little bit side to side, maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe 20. It's not much. End to end, it's almost perfectly level. It's almost dead on. So very happy with how that turned out. That way the tabletop is reasonably level, even though the slab is not the same thickness. So anyway, I'll bring you back. I'll cut another video on this whenever I finish it. Let you see what the finished product looks like. There's not really much tutorial. It's just a whole bunch of elbow grease and time. Anyway, you folks have a great evening, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.